I think because we set the brief, and the brief is then set in kind of detailed consultation with the local community.
Yeah.
So you can really kind of listen to people. The things that people talk to us about all the time are they want affordable homes. They're maybe living in some of our homes at the moment and they're in overcrowded conditions because their adult children can't afford to move out. Or, you know, what jobs are they going to have? Are they going to have to move away from Camden in order to be able to find work? So, you know, jobs and homes for local people is kind of at the core of what we do. And so then we set the strategic brief for the site. And so I think that that's when you can kind of make sure that you're, that the values are shining through and what's delivered at the end of the day.
Hello and welcome to 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge sponsored by Redloft. So the mission is to get 1.5 million new homes built. And the key delivery arm to achieving that mission is local government, either as the planning authority or in joint venture with the private sector or directly delivering new homes by the public sector. So I'm coming to a different council every month to ask what works and what needs to change to enable councils to get more homes built. And today I'm in the London Borough of Camden. So today I'm lucky enough to be with Zohra Chiheb, who is the Regeneration team leader at the London Borough of Camden. Zohra, tell us where we are.
Hi, Toby. Yeah, so we're at the Greenwood Centre, which is an amazing project of the councils in Kentish Town. We're on the roof garden, which you can see all the lovely allotments.
And what a day for it.
And what a day,
We lucked
yeah.
out.
It's a really special place. So this is one of our projects that we've done with it. I'm working in something called the Community Investment Programme. So we bring forward homes, schools and community centres for the people of Camden. And this centre is very special. It's a special facility for disabled people, and it brings together a lot of different services into one building, so people can access various things at the same place, and disabled people themselves were involved in the design.
So what difference to the design of this building did co-designing with the people who are going to use it make?
Yeah, I think it was... It came really from our discussions with the user groups that to co-locate the facilities as they are.
What sort of user groups?
So there's disabled people, there's people with mental health, and there's also older people, all in the same building and using different facilities and using some of the same facilities, the shared facilities. And there's a really nice synergy and the users love it. Yeah.
Zohra, what's your role in making these things happen? What do you actually do day to day?
Yeah, so I suppose I'm a development manager. So it's a bit of a project manager, but we also look after the finance and the programme and basically make sure it happens. So we'll take a site. So often we have an existing council building, say, or a bit of council land, and we'll do feasibility options, what could work here. Talk to our planning colleagues, what do they want to see in terms of planning, work very closely with the local community, develop a shared vision with them over years, often with a steering group, and then we bring forward whatever's appropriate on a site. So often new homes, we've delivered lots of new homes in SIP, I think it's about 1,800 now, we've got another 3,000 in the pipeline. Right. Or somewhere like this, a fantastic community centre. At the moment we're working in partnership with Ballymore Lateral at Camley Street, and we're doing a mix of homes and commercial space.
Fantastic. And what's in all of that, what's the best part of your role?
I think, I find it an absolute privilege to be able to work on some of the best sites in Camden, probably even London, might we say, and just in a place where the community input is really, really valued. It's the core of what we do. So I can safely say that when I go home from work at the end of the day that I'm really making a difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. To people you know, because
exactly.
You meet them while you're doing the work.
Absolutely.
What's the flip side? What's the toughest part of the role?
I think viability is probably the most painful thing we deal with. It's very difficult. We're always trying to do as much as we can with everything. We want the best quality homes. We want to target exemplar sustainability. We want to use the best materials. We want to do the best public realm, and everything costs money. And so sometimes it's a bit of a hard kind of challenge, thinking about what's got to give and trying to make compromises in the way that is not going to impact. It's going to have the least impact on the people who are going to live in the homes or experience the spaces that we're creating.
And how do you get into all of this in the first place? Because that's a really varied kind of role, yeah? The stuff you're doing from one day, completely different the next day.
Absolutely.
How do you end up doing this?
Yeah. So I am an architect by background. I started off in the private sector, and I think that technical training's really helped me with this. But I, at some point, got a bit frustrated with architecture where you're working for whoever the client is, and sometimes their values aren't necessarily aligned with your own. And then I think moving towards local authority and thinking actually every day I'd be doing a project that for the community where affordable housing is a key priority, and any sort of surplus that's generated from the schemes is going back into funding our council services. So that's a really important part of the role for me.
But you're still dealing with the same sort of compromises, aren't you? On working in the private sector, you have clients who want you to do things that you don't necessarily feel personally engaged with. But working in the public sector, you're still working with private sector developers and all of their advisors, and ultimately architects as well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So why is that materially different?
I think because we set the brief, and the brief is then set in kind of detailed consultation with the local community.
Yeah.
So you can really kind of listen to people. The things that people talk to us about all the time are they want affordable homes. They're maybe living in some of our homes at the moment and they're in overcrowded conditions because their adult children can't afford to move out. Or, what jobs are they going to have? Are they going to have to move away from Camden in order to be able to find work? So jobs and homes for local people is kind of at the core of what we do. And so then we set the strategic brief for the site. And so I think that that's when you can kind of make sure that you're, that the values are shining through in what's delivered at the end of the day.
And what are the key skills that you need in order to achieve all of that?
A range. And as you say, it's different every day. So different things every day. I think it's important to be able to talk to people and listen to people. I think you need to be quite organised, although there's some people who are less organised and have other talents. So I think it's really a range across the team. We've got so in my team there's about 15 people. There's senior development managers, there's admin people, there's specialists in consultation and engagement, and then we work with a whole load of consultants, so architects, engineers, and we're actually working in partnership with private developers as well, which is, I think, another important aspect as we move forward to try and overcome some of these viability challenges. And through the procurement processes that we go through, we're able to find developer partners who really share our values.
So I'm hearing this a lot from these interviews, that a lot of the skills that you need are actually soft skills. It's not so much sort of technical skills as being able to manage people, being able to negotiate and compromise and drive towards mutually beneficial solutions. Is that fair?
I think so. I think I would say I feel grateful to have the technical background so that I can understand. I can hold my own in those kind of technical meetings as well. But I think it's a really important skill to be able to go from those technical meetings into a community meeting and be able to speak both languages and be able to kind of translate in a way. Or if you can't explain your scheme to the community, to somebody who knows nothing about architecture and doesn't know all the words like materiality and things that you learn to say in architecture school, and still be able to, give the elevator pitch for the scheme, why is this going to be good for their local area, then I don't think I think you need to work on that if you want to do this job.
And being honest, like looking back over the arc of your career, how much of it is planned and how much is just like, it happens? Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose you kind of like to think you've got your 5-year plan, but then it's sort of just what when you get to a job and whether you like it and the kind of then the pathways that you follow. But I suppose one piece of advice I always give to people is that just try and find something that you really like doing and then just follow that thread. You never know where it's going to take you, even if it's something where you can't immediately see how this will benefit your career. I think it's still important to kind of go to that lecture or meet that person for a coffee and really kind of explore those avenues that you're interested in. Because if you can do something every day that you genuinely are passionate about, that's when it's kind of it's not a chore so much, it's kind of something you can get really passionate about and it becomes more your vocation than your job.
What sort of importance do you place on mentoring in all of that? Like how much have you relied on other people around you to help and support you and nurture your career?
A fantastic amount. I'm very lucky to have a mentor. There's a great mentorship program at Camden Council. So I myself have a mentor who's more senior, and she's been absolutely fantastic and really supportive and up the highs and the lows, you know. And then I also have been mentoring other younger women coming into the organisation and supporting them in their next moves in their career. And I think it's been a really important, it's great. And it's certainly the way we look at it in Camden as well, as it's actually opening opportunities for people who might not necessarily have the network from, you know, kind of different socioeconomic backgrounds and things. It can be quite kind of, some professions can be quite cliquey, and particularly built environment. It can be quite kind of male and white and middle class, and actually mentoring, and especially kind of peer-to-peer women mentoring can really actually help younger people kind of come into the profession and see how they can make their way.
Have you had any sort of eye-opening moments when you're mentoring, you know, with younger people where they make you think about the work and the role and the place in a way you hadn't before?
Absolutely. I think as well, coming from private sector and very built environment focused, it's been a privilege to work at the council where there's 4,000 people working at Camden Council across all different teams. And one of my mentees is a frontline worker who works with vulnerable women in the community, and really listening to the stories about how she's actually supporting our residents with their kind of huge life issues. I'm just in awe of her, you know. And so if I can help her a little bit in my way, then it's a privilege. But I think I've learnt a lot from my conversations with her.
So I guess there's two sets of people we'd like to get a message out to. One would be people in the private sector who we might like to try and convince to come across into the public sector, because the skills need is enormous. And the other is to younger people who don't yet know what to do with their lives. So what advice would you have for either or both of them? Yeah,
absolutely. I think private sector, I think the opportunities are fantastic. You get to work on some of the best sites.
Yeah.
Because the teams are kind of smaller, you'll probably be more senior than you probably would be in a private sector organisation, getting to really make strategic decisions quite early on in your career. And the flexibility is really good. I have a young daughter, so I can leave and do pickup and then do some more time in the evenings, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah. And, you know, great benefits in terms of maternity pay, pension. People really genuinely care about the people who are here. And so I think that's something quite different from some private sector organisations anyway. And so that might be something tempting to people who are really thinking, you know, is this it? And kind of thinking about the next step. And younger people, come and do work experience with us. We love having young kids, kind of school-age children around, and there's a whole programme of things that they can do with us, whether in my team or other council teams, just to get a real flavour of what it is that we do. Because I think it's a bit baffling, you know, Camden Council, unless you have direct experiences with the council through your own life, you might not have a clue really what all the range of things that they do.
So how do they go about doing that? Who do they contact?
So they can contact our job brokerage service, Good Work Camden, and I think they should be able to point you in direction of work experience.
Fantastic. Zohra Chiheb, thank you very much indeed for your contribution to getting 1.5 million new homes built.
Great. Thanks very much, Toby. Cheers.
So that's it for another episode of 1.5 million new homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft. We're going to be back in a few days with more from the London Borough of Camden. But until then, if you could hit like and subscribe, we'd be really grateful. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.